So now I officially feel like I have the superpower to actually pass on the wrong side of the road. I say that because I now got a rental and it actually has Florida tags. So if you're from Florida, I apologize for saying that. I know that most of y'all are actually probably really good drivers. I've just seen a lot of, whenever I've been in Florida, it seems like for some reason, a lot of people pass each other on the wrong side of the road or pass on the passing or the non-passing side of the road. But that's just something funny. I feel like now I can actually do that and be okay. But anyways, I just wanted to give an update about the Colorado. It's been going, I think it's been, gosh, 21 days. I counted it out just a little bit ago. 21 days since I've actually dropped the Colorado off at the dealership. I have not gotten it back, and I really have little news to give about what's going to happen. So let's hop in the rental. It's not really the best, I guess, but it is a rental. So I'm happy for that. It gets better gas mileage than my Mustang. And let's have a little bit of a discussion. It's been now 21 days since I've had the Colorado. I've heard a little bit from the dealer that I dropped the Colorado off at. Of course, I had to pick the rental up. It's now September the 3rd. I should be able to post this video up the same day, maybe no later than the next day. It shouldn't take long to edit this. But I did want to kind of just give some updates because it's a bit frustrating. Now, total since owning the Colorado in March, I've been down 5 weeks total, I think, from what I've counted, for 2 issues. Well, it's a multitude of issues because I did tell the dealer this time that there were several issues I needed to address, all in one swoop. But things that really shouldn't have taken that long to actually correct. But again, we're at 5 weeks total of ownership since March. We're actually right at the end of March, so 1st of April, honestly. I had right at 10,000 miles, a little over 10,000 miles on the Colorado, and a lot of that was actually road trips. So, I done one long distance road trip to Navarre from actually Southwest Virginia. That's where I live. Then actually one trip to Birmingham, Alabama. Then the next week went down to Atlanta, Georgia. So the road trips accounted for a lot of the miles on the Colorado. One road trip was actually, or 2 of them was towing, 1 of them was not. But anyways, 10,000 miles down, essentially 5 weeks of time. So I got this rental last Friday. It took, about 2 weeks to get a rental. So I had to rely on my Mustang for that period of time, which, it's not really the most horrible car to drive. I do enjoy driving it, of course. But, again, it is a V8. It gets about the same, maybe a little bit worse gas mileage than the Colorado, but it does take premium gas, and it's a 2-door. And it's rather low. I mean, it's a really low car, so if you really can't take it nowhere near the same place as you could your truck. And you can't haul your things off, say you want to haul trash off with. You can't do that unless you put it in the trunk, and that's not ideal. So anyways, 2 weeks in, I was able to get a loaner or a rental. I've had this since, and I'm very thankful for that. But it's still yet. I mean, for the dealership experience, or just Chevy experience, whatever, it's very frustrating. I did speak to this dealership, as mentioned several times. They expressed that it was really GM. The way their warranty works essentially is what's the problem nowadays. It's almost like a third-party warranty because they actually have to order the part before they can actually authorize any type of rental. So I kind of list what I had them address this go around because, again, I've been putting it off because I do work Monday through Friday. Another downside to a lot of the Chevy dealerships or GM dealerships where I live is they don't offer any Saturday hours whatsoever. And that may be a common theme for a lot of dealerships, around the country. However, I will say the Ford dealership close by to me, they do offer Saturday hours. They offer, I think, for even up to 4 or 5 o'clock. You have to schedule, of course, but they have Saturday hours, which is very convenient for people that work Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. and don't want to take a whole day off just to be able to take your car in for warranty work. But anyways, that's so from what they've told me, they actually have to find an issue with the vehicle, or actually find the problem, order the part before they'll put you in a rental. So the issues I had them address was the panel, or the side panel on the driver's side was actually crooked. It was not aligned. That needed to be fixed. There was actually, ever since I bought the car, or bought the truck, there was a bubble in the paint that needed to be looked at. I should have taken a picture of it at the time that I bought it, but I never did. That needed to be addressed. There was a coolant smell that's really common, as mentioned in my previous video, that it's had since, essentially brand new. Hasn't lost any coolant, but it always smells like coolant when it sits or when it idles. So I was wanting them to address that. The check engine light, which, there at the very end, it got the reduced power warning message, and it was just horrible on the interstate. And it kept on coming on every 50 or 60 miles versus, it would go off and stay off for a couple hundred miles. So that's very problematic. And then the steering wheel, there was again, they're plastic, but here in this Blazer that I'm driving now as the rental, it's also plastic. So, that's discerning in itself because, gosh, the Subaru I had a leather steering wheel. My Mustang had a leather steering wheel until I replaced it, with an aftermarket one. It just goes to show that I like the truck, I really do, but GM quality, will I ever buy a GM product again? Most likely not. I will keep the Colorado. I will keep it, essentially because I do like it. But I will make sure this point forward, and I encourage you all out there, the viewers, that if you're going to buy a new vehicle, and I should, I've bought vehicles, many new vehicles, and the Mustang being used. But if you're going to buy a new vehicle, yes, it's good to, buy the things that are important to you about the vehicle. For me, with the Colorado, it was good about towing. I needed something to actually tow the Mustang to the track. I was replacing my Jeep, so I wanted to be able to be small enough to go off-road, because I wanted to be able to go do landscape photography and be able to go, essentially places that you would need a four-wheel drive to go, and just have a little bit of fun. And to look decent, it had a pretty nice look for a mid-sized truck. It was reasonably priced for the package you got. However, I will say it is worth a little extra money, or if, maybe if you don't get exactly what you're looking for, just that little less, to make sure you're getting the dealership experience. Make sure you're going to get a good warranty, or just not necessarily a good warranty, but the dealership, or the, say for instance, I've never necessarily bought a Toyota, but, for instance, Subaru, my Subaru experience that I had with them during the whole time I owned my Subaru, never had trouble getting a rental or a loaner. It was very easy. If I had any warranty work done at all, it was offered that very day I dropped it off. I would imagine, I haven't ever really had to leave the Mustang. I haven't really had a lot of problems out of it except for that oil leak. And I stayed until they fixed it, and that was no issue. But they seem very, very willing and able to work with me on anything I would need. They're very, they check on you after you have work done. I've actually had to call the GM dealership or call the Chevy dealership every single time I've gotten updates, except for one time in the 3 weeks. And that's very frustrating. They don't keep you in the know about what's going on. And the whole reason it's been so long is apparently the technician quit that was working on my truck. So that's frustrating too, because that happened the first time I took it in as well. The technician quit. It's just, I would, again, looking at it, 2020, hindsight's 2020, I would not buy a GM product again. Will I keep this one? Yes. And I will go ahead and share this. I have requested, and I think that this really helped me get this rental this go around. Because they actually said they pulled some strings. I guess when they were repairing the fender, they had to order a small little, I think, badge or something. So they went ahead and gave me a rental. But I did go ahead and request them to buy the truck back. But in that, I do plan on getting another Colorado, because I think that, from my understanding with the buyback program, you have to get another GM product. So I'll probably, I would stick with that. The lemon law, it's too long of a process. Sometimes that can take, a year or longer. Am I guaranteed that they'll buy the truck back? No. I still don't know what they're going to do with that. I was supposed to have heard something back on the 2nd. However, I heard a response back from GM the midnight on the 2nd, September the 2nd. And they told me they hadn't heard back from the dealer yet. So that's kind of the going theme. It seems like they're just not very responsive. Just GM in general is just not responsive to one another, apparently. So I don't know what's going to happen. I would like the truck to be fixed, but it seems like it's more of an electrical issue, and they're waiting for one technician to take a look at it, but apparently they're backed up. So it could be tomorrow, it could be the next week before it's looked at, taken care of. Just word to the wise, make sure if you're ever purchasing a vehicle, don't just purchase it necessarily for the vehicle itself. Of course, you want to get something you like, but also look at the dealership experience as a whole. That also is very important. I'm very thankful that I have this Blazer right now. And again, I was just truly joking about the Florida comment, because there probably are some really good Florida drivers out there, and there's some horrible Virginia drivers. But again, this one gets much better gas mileage, and it actually is very peppy for a 2-cylinder turbo. I think it's the same actual engine that my Cobalt or turbocharged Cobalt had in it. Just a little bit detuned. But I would, again, just I'll keep you all up to date as to what comes of the truck. Going forward, I'll let you know, of course, be completely transparent. There are some reviews of some products I had in terms of lighting that I was going to do on the truck. I'm having to put that off right now. And of course, if I will still do those reviews, because regardless whatever happens, I will have a Colorado or, something, and it'll be a Colorado, just because the buyback program, you have to get that, or have to get a GM product. And that's the only thing I would really want that's GM. But again, if I'm not guaranteed to get another new vehicle, hopefully they can fix it. And hopefully it's soon. Hopefully it's not, another month down the road. But I've heard from some others' experience that they've been without their vehicle 2 and 3 months. I just don't think that's very, for the amount you pay for a vehicle, that's okay. That's the reason I went ahead and put in the request for a buyback, because I believe that it's very important to advocate for yourself, and I will advocate for what needs to be done. But anyways, thank you all for watching. And again, I'll keep you all up to date on what happens. I hope you will continue to subscribe, and thank you for the support so far. There is the Slammed Enough in October. It didn't seem like I got too much viewers in terms of the last car show, and I don't know if the channel needs to maybe move in the direction of just having the truck content. It seems like people seem to enjoy that more, but I do want to keep this more of a mix between the Mustang, the truck, and also still my cinematic car content. But I do plan to still go to the Slammed Enough and do that video, because I do really enjoy that car show. But until next time, thank you all again for watching.